All right. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hang on. Let me move. Move a little bit so I'm not covering my sweet new sign. What's happening, everybody? Got 10 people watching. Actually, let me move a little more. Move a little more. This is weird because it's backwards, so I don't quite understand that, but whatever. That's fine. Happy Thursday, everybody. Can you hear me? Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I want to make sure the mic is not muted. I'm waiting. Is there volume? Yes. 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 Sweet. All right. Well, welcome. We got some good feedback after the last live session, and I thought, man, let's do it again. So I had a little bit of an opening this afternoon, so I figured, why not? We're going to premiere a video and spend some time talking about that video and answering some questions. So heck yeah, greetings from Zurich, Switzerland. Yeah, I love it. That's one of the coolest things is just knowing that people all over the world are watching. It's cool. It's crazy. It makes the world so small to be able to talk to people that are on the other side of it and share this love for mountain biking. So it's pretty rad. So yeah, give me some feedback. Todd said he loved it. What did everybody think of that last video? It wasn't the most exciting topic. I will give you that, but I think it was something that needed to be done. It's something that everybody deals with. Switchbacks, they're tough, and tough switchbacks are even tougher. So my hope was to try to break down some of the things that I think about when I navigate switchbacks. And what I try to do is I just try to make them as simple as possible is the easiest way to say it. And what that means is looking ahead, seeing what's coming, and getting as wide as you can, using as much of the trail as possible. And I've watched that video a few times, and I think the message was pretty decent. I really wish I would have gone a little bit more in depth to the beginning of the turn. And I tried to explain that in the beginning of the turn, I want it to be a little tighter. And I don't know if I got that point across, but what I see from most people is they come in and they're very gentle with their arc coming into the turn, and all of a sudden you run out of real estate. So if you can come in, and we might do another video, and I might pick a very specific spot because we can elaborate a little bit more on switchbacks. And there's a couple here in the Bentonville area they're really good because you got a pretty decent elevation change and they're not quite 180 degrees. I think they're perfect teaching opportunities. So we might go back and try to do that. But yeah, hopefully you got some good stuff out of that video. It's one of those things that not everybody likes to work on that, but it's something that I've spent a lot of time working with my brother on and really trying to understand body positioning and where it needs to be. And then also the nuance of where you're at on the bike. And one of the things I tried to stress was sliding forward on the seat. And Nick talked about staying in the saddle. Yeah, a lot of people try to stand up and power through, but if you really think about torque delivery, like power is great. And what I say over and over again is the technique is paramount. If you can apply the technique to the best of your ability and then stack power on top, that's a dangerous thing. That's has the potential to make you a very, very proficient rider. And I wish more people would think about it that way, especially in situations like this. Technical climbs, technical switchbacks the technique piece of it will get you much further. So instead of coming into a section that you're hit or miss with, then if you can come in and really think about what you're doing and applying the technique and figuring out what works, like you come in, you apply the technique and you're analyzing it as you're doing it, and you realize, okay, this didn't work, but that maybe worked. You could try it again, and you could bring those pieces together. So then when you come in, you're good at applying the technique, not getting lucky. So applying technique and cleaning an obstacle is, I think, better than getting lucky. And if I looked a little out of sorts, it's because you fixed Super Chat. Yes, I did fix Super Chat. So that's what that is. It's so cool. Somebody yesterday or the day before said, you need to turn on Super Chat. So I figured out how to do it. Somebody actually that was watching, it was a YouTube employee, and they emailed and said, hey, this is how you turn on Super Chat. So heck yeah, too old for two wheels. Scotland. I love it. That's cool. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out a lot of what happens here with YouTube. We're getting there. The videos are doing well, and I think we've kind of found our niche. But this piece of it, I'm trying to get a little bit better at, and I want to get more involved. I want to do more of this because I think an hour a couple times a week, it's something I like to do, and I love to be able to get the questions and give the direct answers, especially after a video like this. I think it's a great way to do it because it allows me, it's kind of fresh on my mind and allows me to get some questions. So, Simon, I have not looked into Streamlabs or StreamYard yet. Since that last live a couple days ago, I've just been super busy. So I'm gonna get there. So I want to read a couple of these. Craig, feels like when it's a technical switchback or uphill section that a higher gear or harder turning gear helps from spinning out through chunkier terrain. Yeah, I agree. I talked about that. And these are all things you can play with. Like, that's the great part about this is there's no hard and fast really for this. Play around with different things like gear choice. When we got to that harder turn, Jason was coming in and I saw him shift all the way up the cassette. A lot of people do that. You know, those 50 tooth, I rarely ever use it. And I make it a point when I go out to try to stay out of it because it's tough. When you get up there, you're spinning so fast, it's hard to lay down tractive power. And the other thing too is, it's funny, Craig says being in better shape and having leg strength, there's a fine balance. Like my brother is a prime example. He's getting stronger now because he's doing some strength training, but he was not the strongest guy. And a couple years back, I remember we were climbing up National Trail at South Mountain, and that's just a very difficult one. And he told me, drop down 2 gears because you're on a 29-inch wheel bike and you're going to be able to roll over more. And it was funny because when I dropped down 2 gears, it was harder, but with each pedal stroke, I was covering more ground. So what it actually did was it helped me. And that's something that is hard sometimes for people to think about. You're locked into this one way of thinking. And until somebody tells you, hey man, do it a different way. Try this. You don't realize, wow, it actually helps. So I don't know that I'd tell your brother. Well, it's funny. I don't think he would disagree. And he just proves my point because his technique is on point. Like now he's getting even better because he's getting stronger. And I've told him that for years now is if you can bring a little strength, dude, he's going to be unbelievable. Like I have no problem saying technically Rob is a far superior rider to me. He just won't go as fast as I will at times. And I'm a little bit more, I'm a decent amount more athletic. And I think that's where my advantage lies. If he was athletic as I am, and didn't have as many injuries as he's had, I think that it would allow him to go significantly faster than me. And it's impressive when you ride with him. It doesn't show outwardly, but when you watch and really focus on some of the things he does, it's amazing at how easy he makes a lot of the terrain look. And that's also part of his curse, because it doesn't look impressive. He does these things and you look at the video and you go, yeah, that's kind of weak, dude. I could do that. And then I get out there and I ride with them in Phoenix and I try it. And I go, man, this is absolutely brutal. And it's funny. It comes back to technique. And if you watch the video, I missed the first 3 times and it's just very sloppy. The 4th time through, where I clean it, it looks, in my opinion, way different than the others. And it's because the technique and the timing is there and it's on point. And when that happens, it's crazy just how everything falls into place and it just gets so much easier. So yeah, not everybody's into that. They just want to go ride and do their thing. But finding situations like that where you can stop and you can try it a few times, I think there's a lot of benefit to that. And you don't have to take a ton of time, but in a situation like that, if you have a switchback that gets to you, that you're, 50% of the time you make it, stop and try it a few times and try to analyze it and figure out what isn't working. And the other thing too is break it up. Like I told Jason in the video, you have that first initial turn in and lift, then you have to get turned, then you have to roll up again. So, breaking it up and understanding that the first part has to come before the second part, then comes the third part, is pretty important. All right, Ethan, man, $5 super chat, bud. He says, thanks for sharing. You're really welcome. This whole thing has been cool. It's awesome, to be able to have a platform like this to talk and share something that I'm really passionate about. I dig it. Like it's really cool. So I want to keep doing more of this and, finding ways to make it better, like the user experience and things to talk about. I'm gonna do that. So give me that feedback. A lot of people have reached out, like the mic. You see the mic looks a litso bit different. So somebody sent me a message and said, hey, this mic has to be straight up. It's designed to be talked to this way. So I didn't know that, but I love it. So keep giving me that feedback. We got a question: Assault Peak versus Delano Peak as a one quiver bike for all of Arkansas. I'm going to go hands down Delano Peak. And it's not really a fair answer because I had very little time on a LaSalle in Sedona, and the bike just was not set up well for me. I would love to get one and ride it again, but I rode Delano today. I did a private coaching session this morning, and I was using that. I don't know. I dig that bike. Like there's something about that bike that I really like. And I would have zero issue riding that pretty much all over Arkansas. And I've ridden a lot of it, and I'm going to keep riding a lot more. So yeah, great bike. Todd, what are your thoughts about driving your front wheel higher on the switchback than turning quickly to bring the wheel back down to level out a steep switchback? It makes perfect sense. I love that. I love it. That's exactly what I would try to tell people to do, but it's really hard to convey that. And it's so funny that you said you're not sure that makes sense. I don't think with a lot of people that would make sense, but I think that's a great way to go about it. And there's a lot of turns like that here. So if you can imagine something that's really banked. So if you come in and you go high in the entry up on that bank and literally turn down, you're going to be carrying speed as you come down, and that'll help give you momentum. So I think that's a great way to do it. It's just the problem is most people won't lean to the left. Like if it's a left-hand turn, they won't come up and lean over to the left. They'll start to lean to the right, and that'll defeat the whole purpose. So I think that is a great way to do it. And again, it's one of those things where you're going to see a video that talks more about that. So at some point, I think what we're going to have to start doing is making like mini vignettes with this. So something that's maybe like 3-4 minutes that just covers what you talked about. So who knows? I mean, down the down the road, we could do something like that. So Dennis, another super chat. Yes. Any experience using a waxed chain instead of lube? I think most chains have some wax on them when you get them. It's kind of weird. A lot of people have said they clean them off. So I know a lot of people that clean them. I don't. I generally just leave it until it starts to come off after a couple of washes. And then I've been using a dry chain lube here because it's been somewhat dusty. So I use one from a company called Session. They're from Brazil, so it's got some Brazilian carnauba wax in it. And so I dig that. Rock and Roll is also another one that is pretty awesome. So a lot of good chain lubes out there. I would say experiment with a few. Ask some of the bike shops too. That's another way to do it, is you ask the bike shops what they use and why. And I think it's good to just try a few different ones, but use a lot. Like I really try to keep my drivetrain clean. And again, something else that I want to make a few videos on, especially with the narrow wide profile now of the chain rings. Usually every couple of rides, I'll wipe the chain down and then put some lube on it. But then I'll take a microfiber towel and I'll clean the front chain ring so I get any buildup off. But then I also do it to the pulley wheels. So I run the chain high up in the cassette so I can get into that pulley wheel and pull some of that debris off. So everything is super smooth. So, all right. Lance's Wood Shop. Yes. So my man Lance, he came up from Dallas for a little visit, and we went out for a little ride on Fireline at Kohler, and he got a little excited and got a little off to the left side of the trail and punctured a tire. So we did a full NASCAR style pit stop, and I threw another wheel on there so he could ride. And yeah, I think he had a good time. So Lance is a rad dude, crushed it at the jump session we had a few weeks back in Dallas. So yeah, it was awesome to see him. Thanks for that super chat, dude. That's awesome. Andrew, how would you compare the Trail 429 to the Spur? Pros of one over the other? Man. I like the Spur better. I like the Spur better. It felt, I don't know. It felt like a more capable bike, and it felt like its realm of usage was a little bit wider on each end. Now, granted, I haven't been on a Trail 429 in a while. It would be cool to go head to head with one of them, but what I could say is it would need to be a 429 enduro build, I think, to be able to compete with that Spur. And again, that could just be a personal thing. A Fox 34, for me, I have a difficult time usually with the Fox 34. These new RockShox SIDs are just, in my opinion, they just work well. And again, this is a personal preference thing. Fox makes amazing products, but just for some reason, recently, the RockShox stuff has been working a little bit better for me. Now, the new damper, that new Grip 2 damper is pretty legit, and I'm trying to get a 36 and a 38 and a couple of X2s for my e-bikes because I think those would step those up quite a bit. But Andrew, stay tuned, dude. I don't know if I said it last time, but Transition is sending a large Spur. So that's going to give me some more time on that bike, a little broader usage case. And I think that'll help me give a little bit more of a determination on this. But man, I'd love to get a bunch of bikes in that realm and do like a full-on shootout. But I mean, what I can say is, dude, Trail 429 is a rad bike. Like, it was a really fun bike. There's something about the Spur that makes it feel a little bit more capable, and a little bit bigger, I guess. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I'll try to do that and I'll see if I can get my hands on a 429. I'd love to get the Rebel Ranger as well. Even maybe get a Django back in the mix. That was a pretty rad bike too. So yeah. Ryan Littleton, hey Rich, can't catch your Strava times at Rowlett Peak. Man, that's been a long time. Strava. Wow. It's been years since I've really thought about Strava. When I started riding, I was just, it's all I could think about. Strava, Strava, Strava. How many KOMs can I get? I laid down some decent times there at RCP. But Ryan, what I'll tell you, dude, I spent a lot of time. Like those times at Rowlett, I was riding 18, 20 hours a week. So, dude, I mean, keep that in mind. That's a lot of time. So Todd coming in $9.99. So this is what the slider on Super Chat does. I guess, dude, I don't exactly know. So that's cool. Thanks, Todd. I appreciate that, man. I really hope to be able to get out there where you're at in the Southern Florida area. That festival, that spot is just, it's really cool. I've seen a lot of videos. So at some point it would be cool to get out there. I'd love to go all over, man. I would love to just like live the van life and take the trailer with the family and hit all these different places. So at some point, maybe 2021, we could try to do that. So yeah. Aaron, a little off topic. How do you power up a technical rocky climb with step ups of 6 inches throughout? I'm going to tell you, Aaron, you do it with the TRS standard lift, shift, and pull. So it's kind of funny. I go back to my brother. The technique piece is very important. If you think about this technical rocky climb and just 6 inch step up after 6 inch step up, if you get that pedal move in there, that pedal punch or that little bit of drive with the pedal and rock your torso back and forth while you stay in the seat, you just literally go right up. And it's funny too, another thing to think about with this, Aaron, I talk about staying seated, but I also talk about having your suspension open and where rebound comes into play. So everybody thinks rebound for jumps. What you're describing is a perfect scenario where rebound is incredibly important. So the rebound on my bike and my brother's bike, there's hardly any rebound damping. So it's very fast. And part of the reason is for situations like that, when I can bounce down into the seat and get that rebound from the suspension, that's going to help me get right up situations like that. So yeah, I really try to think about it in that vein where using the technique and using your body weight. So literally moving your torso back and forth, there's a lot of power in that. And that can help you get up some of these climbs. So yeah, great way to think about it. Eric, I see a podcast in your future. Dude, I've been talking to my brother about that. And, now it's crazy because you can just do it through Zoom and record it. And I think that's not a cool thing to happen in a podcast. So my skills at hanging signs are not very good. So hopefully that thing didn't get jacked up too bad. My buddy Scott made that thing for me. So I'm going to have to look at it. But yes, podcast very much in the future. So have I used the RS35? No rebound adjustment. Dude, I don't know. I don't know which one that is. No rebound adjustment. That's weird that they don't have a rebound adjustment. So I'll have to look into that and see. Lance's Woodshop, TRS standard lift, shift, and pull. How much do clipless pedals help? Clipless pedals help. But what's funny is this one always comes up and everybody wants to talk about it. I would wager that I could do everything I can do on clipless pedals on flats. I just don't want to. That's literally what it comes back to. I could ride flats if I wanted to, but it's just not fun for me. And it's probably similar to how people feel when they're clipped in and not comfortable. It's very foreign. I've been clipped in since I was 12 years old. So for me, not being attached to the bike just does not work. So, it's one of those conversations that Rob is very staunch on it, but again, there's a couple things that you can't argue. When you're clipped in, you never have to worry about where your feet are, and you can literally lift the bike up and put it where you want. So, if you're a newer rider, I think there's a lot of value in getting comfortable on clips, but at the same time, or on flats, but at the same time, if riding clipped in is something that you want to do, at some point you have to do that and you have to get some time doing it. They're very different things. So again, I say do what you want and, do what works. But to say flats are better, if you believe flats are better, awesome, run flats. But don't stay on flats because you're scared you can't get out of clips. The only way to get out is to practice getting out, and a lot of people don't want to do that. So, Paul, what tires do you recommend for gravelly, chunky areas like NWA? I've been a big fan of the Maxxis Minion DHF, an EXO or EXO Plus casing with some Cushcore in there. Awesome. That was a really solid package. Now, I've been running a lot more specialized tires because I have a few specialized bikes, and the Butcher Grid, that's a pretty legit tire. I have them in 2.3s and 2.6s, and I really like how those are working. So something a little bit bigger, like, at least a 2.3, maybe even a 2.5. I think it depends on what you're after. A Recon is another pretty good choice. I've liked the Recon. So for like more of a cross country feel, I've run a 2.4 Recon, and I like that. I like that pretty well. Todd asked Cushcore. Cushcore is a tire insert. It's something that it basically takes up volume in the tire, and it helps protect the rim, but it also gives you amazing ride quality and better handling. So again, something that a video needs to be done on. Rob and I have talked about it. The benefits of Cushcore for me, I'll break it down pretty simply, and I apologize for anybody who has heard this. I raced the Big Mountain Enduro Series last year, and without Cushcore, I would run 28 PSI in the front and about 30 in the rear, sometimes 31. With Cushcore, I was able to drop down to 20 to 21 in the front, depending, and 25 and a half in the rear. And so I raced every race like that. And I punctured once, and it was because I hit something. Like I hit something and I broke a spoke, I broke my derailleur, I broke a bunch of things. So it didn't really matter. The tire was going flat. But yeah, Cushcore, super impressive. I mean, from a handling standpoint, it's amazing. We talk about forks, and you put volume reducers in your fork. Well, this is the same thing. This is a volume reducer in your tire. So you think, well, wait a minute, you're only running 20 PSI up front. I am. And so it's really supple and handles really well. But when I start to load it into a turn or off a jump, there's a lot less volume in there. So it ramps up like a fork would or a shock would with a volume reducer. So definitely pretty cool. Yeah. So Assegai front, dissector back. I've never run the dissector, but I've heard amazing things. The Assegai is legit. I actually had, it was crazy. I got my Django. My Django showed up with two Assegais, front and rear. And dude, there was some traction, but it was kind of like riding on Velcro, like riding around on some of the paved trails around here, getting to the dirt. Dude, it was a lot of drag, but yeah, heck of a tire. And especially where you're at, because I think it's a little more damp, a little wet, and a little bit more dirt. So yeah, I rode Assegai up front in Sedona on some pretty good dirt, and it was legit. So yeah, Slaughter Pen. Ryan rode some Slaughter Pen while camping at Devil's Den. Yeah, Slaughter Pen is legit. Really cool spot. And, it was kind of the OG spot, and now it's getting a lot more love. It's getting better and better, and they're adding so many things to it. So for me now, I leave my house, I hit Ravine, and then roll out and just kind of hit both sides of Slaughter Pen. And it's fun. Like there's a lot of diversity. I've been getting some decent single track. I've been riding S-Works Epic Evo, and amazing bike. So I've been getting some legit cross country time, and it's been pretty cool. Dude, look at this. My man, social media Rocco. It's favorite meeting of the day. That's cool, dude. I'm glad you're saying this is work, man. $20 on the super chat. So rad, dude. I appreciate that. Rocco's a good dude. We hung out a little bit at the Sedona Mountain Bike Festival. Seems like so long ago. And I'm really hoping that I'm really hoping that next year we get some of these festivals back, especially Sedona, because that's one of my favorites. It's really, really cool. And yeah, the good old days. So hopefully we can get back to some of those, because I would love to do something there. I had some grand plans for 2021 Sedona Mountain Bike Festival. I still do. Like, I'm still hoping we can make some of them happen, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But if I can make half of what I want to work, it's going to be awesome. So everybody be ready for that. Somebody said something about DVO. DVO, I'm running DVO suspension on the Fazari right now, and I'm pretty damn impressed. It's the first time I've ever had anything DVO, and it works really well. And I think it's kind of shocking that it's spec'd on a bike that retails for $34.99. But I bounce back and forth between some of the other bikes I'm on, and I'm happy with it. It works really well. Now, I've been riding bikes with some more RockShox, so I dig that stuff. Like this new Sid Ultimate with the game day damper, it's been pretty cool. Like, I've been ripping around on this Epic Evo with it, and man, it's just, for something so small, they work well and they actually feel really stout. So yeah, that's been that's been fun. And it's funny too, because somebody asked me earlier today. I was at this place called the Meteor. That's really cool spot here in Bentonville. And the guy asked me, he's like, man, is it difficult bouncing around bike to bike? And I kind of laughed, because generally speaking, it is. I guess I'm an outlier and unique in the sense that I'm generally okay doing it. I can adapt pretty quickly, but I've always been like that. I mean, I literally remember when I was 7, 8 years old, I just wanted to ride everybody's bikes I could. And I think part of it's a mindset. Like, I just love riding bikes. I don't care what it is. It could be a beat up beach cruiser. It doesn't matter to me. My thought process coming in is, I just want to ride. Like, I just want to ride this bike, and I just want to have as much fun as I can. And what I told him was, I don't try, I think, to exert myself onto the bike. I try to get a feel for what the bike is and what the bike wants to do and what the bike's good about, and then kind of try to, I don't know, adapt to that, I guess, is the best way I can describe it. It just, I don't know. It comes back to, and sometimes it doesn't work. Like, some things are just different. Like, it's rare. It's very rare. I've been on a bike that I just didn't mesh with. So, it's funny. Again, I'm unique in that regard, but I just love riding bikes. Spartan MTB, riding 25 years without serious injury until 6 weeks ago. Broke collarbone in 4 places on Spider Mountain, had surgery. Dude, let me tell you what, I would not be nervous about getting back. 25 years with no collarbone. That's a massive win, in my opinion. Like, you're beating the odds right there. That's crazy. And that's one of those ones that it happens, it happens. Any idea what went wrong? If you have an idea of what went wrong, sometimes that can help. I had a grade 5 separation in my shoulder, and it was because I blacked out. I just low blood sugar, blacked out, and flipped over. So, too old for 2 wheels, $2. Get yourself to Europe, and the beer's on me. I'll tell you what, it doesn't need to be beers. 1 beer and I'll be wrecked, but I'm going to hold you to that, because someday I'm going to get out there. All right, EMTB Wolf. Nice, $10. Thanks for the Jump Series videos. Help me a ton. Steep Lips still get to me. Yeah, mind games, definitely. The steep lips, slow down. That's my best advice, is try to come in as slow as you can. And it's very counterintuitive. You'll find that if you come in slower, then you have the opportunity to really load in and manage the lift. And that's the thing I think that's very hard for people to really understand. They get scared and they think, it's too slow. It's too slow. I have to go faster. I have to go faster. If you can find a spot where you can really slow down and get comfortable trying to get more lift, you're going to go further in space, because you're moving forward. So that's one of those ones that's just really difficult. That's very quickly going up on the list of what gets people the most, because especially here, I mean, there's just the jumps The jumps are everywhere, and a lot of them are pretty steep, and people just get caught up in the moment, and they're just ripping all around, and all of a sudden they catch themselves coming in a little bit too fast and maybe getting back. That's the other piece too, is, keep your hips over the bottom bracket. With steep jumps, what I have seen in my experience is people sliding their hips back, and that ends up causing a lot of issues, because if you slide your hips back behind the center of the bike, you're going to overload the rear suspension. Bikes were not designed for that. Full suspension bikes especially were designed to have the center of mass over the center of the bike. So when you start to move back, it goes wrong really quickly. And it has nothing to do with your rebound setting. If you're behind the center of the bike, it doesn't really matter what your rebound setting is. It's not working properly anyways. So I think understanding that, that's something that can help quite a bit. So yeah, broken bones. Whew, man, everybody has their share. Broken bones, concussions. It's one of those things that you hope you can avoid them for as long as possible. And for me, I've been pretty lucky. I've done well. My brother has taken the brunt of the injuries on two wheels in our family. And, now I have my son kind of coming in the footsteps, and he turned 4 in May. So a little older than 4. He's got a really cool Provello bike that's awesome. And I was setting up for a private jump session today, and he came out to help. And I don't even know how it happened, but he said something about hitting the MTB hopper and hitting the jump. And I was like, wow, dude, do you really want to do it? And I don't know. He had this look in his eyes that I could see it happening. And so I set up a couple of GoPros, and I just told him, go for it, dude. And he did a little run to look at it, which I appreciated. And then he came in and hit it a couple times. So it's really cool. The video is on my Instagram. So if you check it out, it's at the Rich Drew. I put it up in my stories. It was a really cool moment for my wife and I. You can tell I get a little excited when he rolls off that thing. So it's cool. I'm excited, but I'm also kind of nervous, because now I know it's opened the door, and he's already talking about, Dad, when can I jump again? When can I get out and hit the hopper? So it's one of those things that I'm going to have to start managing. I started racing BMX when I was 5. So he's only got another year before that's going to happen. And I think he's going to be well ahead of the game because of what he's been doing. So yeah, a lot of cool things. So hi from Portugal, hi from Seattle. Man, that's so awesome. Again, it's so cool to listen. Philippe, I believe, I want to make sure I pronounce it right. I've been on two wheels all my life, but recently got first true MTB. Nice. What skill level to go full suspension? Is it even a skill level question? That's a great one. I'm not going to make it a skill level thing. I think it's going to be, what are your financial means? What are you riding? If you're having fun on a hardtail, I would say rip the hardtail for as long as you want. I think it's more of a geometry thing. That's what I would come back to is, if you're on a hardtail that's a little bit slacker head tube angle, a little bit longer, more of a trail bike hardtail, I think that's awesome. And I don't know that you would have to go to full suspension. Now, if you're on an entry-level hardtail that's got a steep head tube angle, 2.0 tire, something like that, I think. So yeah, 21 rock hopper. No, that's a pretty decent bike. So no, I'd ride that. Ride that thing. Ride it. Have fun. Learn as much as you can. If things start to break, you can upgrade. I'm a big fan of having enough bike for what you need. That Epic Evo that I was riding is $11,500. That's a lot of money to spend on a bike, and it's a lot of bike. It's an amazing bike, but I wouldn't say that I need that bike, and I think a lot of people are like that. You need what you need. If you're an athletic person, you're really into it, and you're going to ride a lot. I would say spend a little bit of money and get a decent full suspension bike, something that you can upgrade, something that will give you that experience and allow you to have more fun. So, yeah. Checking in from New York, Edward, what's happening? Hoping to get out there to the East Coast at some point. Yeah, full suspension not needed in NorCal Bay trails. I've ridden a couple of bikes, Specialized Fuse out here, and it was rad. You know, there's a lot of places. A legit trail hardtail and some 2.6s with some cush core. I could do that. I could get down with that, and I won't rule out that being part of the arsenal here in the future. There's a lot of options for something like that. So, yeah, maybe someday. All right, somebody asked you, planning to come by Seattle. I would love to go to Seattle. I would love to do some Pacific Northwest riding. You know, I think that this year it's not going to happen. We're going to get to Denver once. Might even try to go twice. We're going to get up to Kansas City, I think. Some Texas stops. I think this year is going to kind of be the rest of this year anyways is getting ready to kind of figure out what next year looks like and come up with a plan for next year, but something that we can kind of deviate from if need be. I would like to bring the ride series to as many cities as we can, but we can only go to so many. So it's going to be coming up with a plan that we can strategically get to a city and maybe move to another city, get some economy of scale, and then maybe do some videos within that. So in a perfect scenario, that's what it would be. We go on this 3-city tour, and in between, we shoot some videos. So what we're trying to do is put together, we'll call it next year's program, and see about getting some funding to do that. You know, it's one of those things. I'm okay saying that. These videos cost money, and we've been able to scrape some companies together to help with some funding, and it's been awesome. But the idea is to try to put together something that's a little bit bigger, so we know what we can do, and we can lay out almost a year's worth of production and bring more videos. Like right now, it's once a week. You know, the goal is we got to get something once a week, a couple how-tos, maybe some trail overviews. I try to mix some other stuff in during the week with the GoPros and whatnot. And I want to keep doing that, but it would be awesome to check off this list that we have. Everybody's asking, well, what about this? What about that? We have this long list of videos that we want to make. And I think we could really make an impact. And if we had these different buckets of all these different videos, so videos that were a little bit longer and more in depth, and then smaller versions that kind of broke out into more specifics of those different things. So yeah, a lot of possibilities, and we're getting there. We're getting there. We're putting some things together. There's a cool little team that we have assembled here, and I'm hoping to get my brother a little bit more on board. So anybody who's watching this, my brother Rob is 7 years older than me, and he's an amazing rider, and he's a wealth of information. Doesn't have anywhere near the personality that I do, so be prepared. Trying to get him, I think he's purchased one of these mics, and trying to get him to get a camera. And thankfully the new GoPro firmware allows you to use them as a vlogging camera, as a webcam. So I'm really trying in the next week to set up a Zoom to go live on YouTube with my brother, because he's amazing at answering questions. And he just recently came back and raced the first round of the Big Mountain Enduro Series in Big Sky, Montana, one of the most amazing places in the world. And he rides the Masters 40 plus class, stacked class, and he pulled off a third. I mean, some really, really fast dudes in front of him, Mike West and Chris Canfield, one of the Canfield brothers. So I was really proud of what he did out there, and I would love to have him come on and talk about it, because he suffered a devastating injury last year when we were in the midst of last year's BME season. We got 3 rounds done, and he went home, went on a training ride, and was just ripping on a trail that he normally rides, and he caught the front tire a little bit and just went right over the bars, full lawn dart style, and landed on his head. And he sent me a picture as he was walking out and said, dude, I mean, it was pretty bad. I think I'm jacked up. I might be out for a little bit. Well, little did he know, I believe it was 8 vertebrae that he broke, among other things. And 3 of them were in his neck. So it was a very, very devastating crash, some really horrible injuries, and it took a long time for him to recover, but he's made an incredible recovery. And by all accounts now is probably riding better than he has in quite some time. And it was a long process, not only physically, but mentally. And we had a lot of conversations about that. And so I really want to get him on to try to get him to open up and talk about that, because, like some people have talked about, having a crash and trying to get back physically is one thing, but trying to get back mentally. And he and I had many conversations, and I think he can provide a lot of insight into what you deal with, how he dealt with it, and maybe some things that might help you. And a lot of it is mindset. A lot of it is where you're at in your mind, how you project things, how positive you are. And it's funny because when I was younger, I didn't think about those things, but I think becoming older and being in a position to race at an older age, I have to think my way to better results than focus on just the physical component of it. So yeah, a lot of good things. What do we got, Rich? Know anything about Northern Idaho MTB? I believe Northern Idaho, I think there's some legit stuff out there. I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure. I would send a message to Kyle Warner because he knows that area really well. But that whole part of the country is just, it's rad. There's a lot of killer riding up there. So yeah, California for sure. Yeah. Where are you at in California? Curious. We grew up in Southern California, San Fernando Valley for a while, and then Simi Valley as well. So very cool place to be, race BMX, race motocross. It was awesome. And then went to Phoenix. So I went to high school and college in Phoenix, and was in Texas, Dallas for a while. And then now here in Bentonville for going on 2 years now. Crazy that it's been 2 years here in Bentonville. It seems like I've been around for a little bit longer, and it's amazing what's happening out here. I've tried to showcase it as much as I can, and it's funny because Rob and I talked about it a little bit last night. But yeah, this is a pretty rad place, and I say mountain bike capital of the world. Just be prepared, because I'm going to say that in all of my videos now, and it's definitely a marketing strategy, and I don't know how you would quantify that. There's a lot of rad places to ride mountain bikes, that's for sure. But for me, what I come back to is being able to ride the same trail with my son and my wife at the same time. Go out and do a 5 or 6 mile ride on the trails. That's pretty awesome. It's tough to do that anywhere else. It really is. Whistler, Moab, Colorado. That doesn't really exist, and it's all located pretty much just outside of downtown here. So that piece of it makes it even that much better. For me, I can leave my garage, and in less than half a mile, I'm on soft surface trail, and I can pretty much get 140, 50 miles of it at that point. I'll hit a little bit of paved greenway, but yeah, it's really hard to beat. So very, very cool spot. Certainly excited to live here, and it's given me the opportunity to make these videos and do these things right here. So we're going to do more, but I think we'll probably end this one now. It's been pretty good. Some good questions. So think about some questions that you might have, and you can always shoot them to me. I'm going to figure out a better way to do this, and we're going to come up with some topics. What I love is for people to ask questions that I can really think about and come up with some good answers. And I think that'll allow me to go a little bit more in depth, and then also start getting people on. So with Zoom, what's cool is we can bring other people in and potentially even bring some viewers in on Zoom. So trying to figure out exactly how to do that. But in the meantime, questions, you can send questions to me on Instagram at the Rich Drew, or you can email them, the Rich Drew at the rideseriesmtb.com. So questions, I would love I would love to get them. Before I go, I do want to answer one question. Too old for two wheels. Actually, no. Somebody's EMTB Wolf. When did Bentonville start building trails, and who started? So it's probably been 8-9 years now. I would say maybe 10. But literally, the story that I was told was Tom Walton started building trails. Tom is one of the younger grandsons, and him and his brother Stuart, both super rad dudes, and they're really into riding. And Tom got out with with some shovels and some picks and just started going for it. And slowly but surely, trail building became a thing. Progressive trail design started, and they built some more trails. And Slaughter Pen Phase 1 was where it all started. And it was funny because I remember coming here 8 years ago, and I was trail running, and I went and trail ran, and I saw all the stuff, and I thought, man, this is crazy. Like, wow. It's Arkansas. Like, who rides mountain bikes in Arkansas? And so the last, I would say probably 4 years, it's really picked up a lot of steam, and they've invested a lot of money into it, but they're writers, like they're legit writers. And it's kind of funny because the money piece of it is important, but you have to have the vision, and you have to have the political will, and you have to have a team assembled that can do it. And there's a team here that's really good. And you have people that they're in a position where they can make decisions, and you got people that can build some rad stuff. So it's only going to get better. So as soon as we can talk about more and I can give some more insight, I'm going to do that. One of the goals of this channel is to try to give more insight on the trails that are here. There's no mountains. I'm not going to pretend there's mountains. There's no sustained descent, but you have the ability to ride all this really cool stuff right here close to town. And if you travel outside of town a little bit, it gets even better. So yeah, definitely a lot to talk about. So Scott, cheers for your review on the Giant Rain e-bike. Yeah, dude. Yeah, bombing it on our trails. I wish I had trails to bomb on that Giant Rain E. That's a hell of a bike. There's just nothing here that even tests it at all. So yeah, we're gonna edit the long-term review on that here very soon. So yeah. Well, I'm gonna wrap this up. It's been awesome. I'm really digging these, and I want to do it at least once a week and maybe even more. And we'll switch up the times a little bit. So I promise you, I'm going to get better at the technology piece of this. Everybody who was a super chatter, big thumbs up. Thank you. This is cool. This is awesome. Keep the comments, keep the input coming. Anything I can do to make it better, topics, things like that, let me know. We're going to do it. So yeah, have a great day. Stay positive. A lot of crazy things going on in the world right now, but we're all here because we love riding bikes. And that's something we can do. And if you're out there riding and you can smile at somebody, help them make their day, do it. That's what it's about. All right, cool. Peace out, dumpers. Have a good night.